Mojo Projo donated on Patreon at the Mythic tier for an entire year and sponsors today's video. We can build Gisa as either a generic tokens build or as a zombie/skeleton deck. I didn't choose this username for nothing, so seeing as how she's a zombie lord and skeletons are crap, we're going zombie tribal with this one. So how do we commit crimes with this new set? A crime is committed whenever we cast a spell or activate an ability that targets an opponent, their spells, permanents, or graveyard. In other words, we're going to be committing crimes all over the place in a regular game of Commander, let alone one where we've actually built around the mechanic. So we'll start off with how we're committing crimes, seeing as how that's the most unique aspect of the deck. This only triggers once per turn, so we'll want to be using cards that can target during each turn during the turn cycle, making 8 zombies per turn cycle. Altar of Dementia feeds itself with Gisa's tokens, and can slowly whittle away an opponent's resources. Blasting Station is a similar effect. Victory Chimes can give us a consistent additional mana that we might need, but usually will be pointed at an opponent during the end step. We just need to hope that they can't make use of the mana themselves. We have some creature-based means of targeting as well. Yawgmoth does cost us life, but is a means of refilling our hand along with removal, so it's well worth it. Phyrexian Plague Lord is a similar effect that you can commit crimes with more indefinitely due to not having a life cost. And Tetzamok we're probably never going to play, although we could in a pinch. More likely we consistently use it during our turn to target a creature and get some more zombies out of the deal. You'll have noticed a few sack outlets by now, and these are included so we can trigger our aristocrat effects, most of which are zombies, but these automatically affect each opponent so are not considered crimes. With that in mind, I have included Blood Artist as well so we can still get the trigger for Gisa when a creature dies, which we should be able to accommodate with our own commander and tokens. But obviously the easiest way to commit a crime is to point spot removal at our opponent's stuff. Tragic Slip, Infernal Grasp, Bitter Triumph and Go for the Throat are all excellent pieces of removal with the added value of making more bodies for us in this case. The fact that they're instants means that we can maximise the number of triggers that we get from Gisa too during the turn cycle. And we've also got some removal on an enchantment card in the form of Attrition. Again, plenty of tokens to feed into this and they'll almost instantly be replaced afterwards. Retribution of the Ancients won't likely see any counters, but for a single black, we can still target and commit a crime 4 times per turn cycle. Well worth the price of admission of just 1 mana to get it onto the battlefield. And in a similar vein we have Mind Slash, a means of making sure that we're safe to make whatever plays we want to make during our turn. Maybe get rid of some of that pesky counter magic. Even some of the card draw in the deck is able to be pointed at our opponents in a pinch. And they will lose life to those as well because these are black spells. Pact to the Serpent arguably goes in every black tribal list, and I have very high hopes for the new Insatiable Avarice, which we can either use as a tutor, card draw, or both. Plus we can point the life loss and zombie making at an opponent like I said. There's some typical card draw in the list that I won't bother covering, but more relevant to our game plan are cards like Cryptbreaker, Liliana, and Dark Prophecy. Obviously our plan is to litter the board with tokens, and if we have a surplus of those and need some new cards, then Cryptbreaker is a zombie that will get us there. Might as well tap them down for card draw before we sack them to effects like Dark Prophecy, and my favourite Planeswalker, the Dreadhorde General. This is a zombie deck and we'll get round to the actual zombies in a minute, but you are likely expecting to see some reanimation included with this tribe, and the deck doesn't disappoint as we do trigger Gisa with targeted reanimation. Reanimate, Animate Dead, and Gravespawn Sovereign are all means of making more zombie tokens, and reanimating the best creatures your opponents have in the bin. Then for the late game we've also got Mass Reanimation in the form of Living Death and Rise of the Dark Realms. Don't forget that with Living Death you can sack all your creatures before casting it to get all your stuff back immediately. Alright, so let's finally get round to the actual zombies, and there aren't as many as you might think in this deck. We have to shoehorn in so much criminal stuff that it actually doesn't leave that much room for zombies. So anything that pulls double duty like Withered Wretch, Cemetery Reaper, and Murderous Rider are going to be particularly useful with this commander. Cemetery Reaper and Gisa are both anthems for our army, and the Reaper makes a token with its own ability, and if Gisa's in play we'll make another 2 with hers. Champion of the Perished gets bigger and bigger the more zombies we make, and Death Baron is another anthem effect as well as a buff with Death Touch, making us more difficult to block. Whilst Undead Warchief probably won't be too useful with the cost reduction, but that 2-1 buff for only 4 mana is really going to mount up with all the tokens we're making. I'll quickly point out at the end here that we've also got Gravecrawler with the typical Skull Clamp and or Phyrexian Altar combo, which will allow for infinite Aristocrat drain on our opponents. An oldie but a goodie. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the deck tech. I thought the set was due out last week, to be honest, but it's actually this week, meaning that your gameplays are releasing in a week's time, hopefully. Let me know any cool interactions you think I may have missed, and a huge thank you to the patrons for their support of the channel. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.